Tonight, we are jumping headfirst into all the chaos, the comedy, and yeah, the controversy from the latest inside the NBA. We're going to break down all their biggest debates, so let's get right into it. We kick things off with a classic Charles Barkley hot take. I mean, you have a nail-biter of a game between two huge LA rivals, and what's his takeaway? Neither one of these teams are any good. You just gotta love it. And honestly, this really set the tone for the entire night. Just that kind of unfiltered, totally unpredictable analysis. All right, Section 1, LA's nail-biter finish, a superstar duel. Look, the stage was set for a massive primetime showdown. Lakers versus Clippers. And let me tell you, the superstars absolutely did not disappoint. So right from the opening tip, you had LeBron James just coming out on fire. I mean, 17 points in the first quarter alone. He set the tone immediately, looked completely unstoppable, and you could just tell he was on an absolute mission. But this thing was a true back-and-forth fight. You know, on the other side of the ball, Kawhi Leonard was just putting on an absolute clinic. Kenny Smith even called it a 6-category performance. He was doing everything: scoring, rebounding, assisting, leading, defending, and even creating double teams just by being on the floor. It was a real shame he had to leave late in the game with some ankle soreness, but man, not before reminding every single one of us why he's one of the best two-way players in the entire league. And in the end, after all that, it was the Lakers who just scraped by. The final score, 125-122, a 3-point victory. This game literally came down to the final possession, the final buzzer. The Clippers even got a pretty decent look to tie it up, but the shot just wouldn't drop for him. What a finish. So that brings us to our next big topic, the great Lakers debate. Are they contenders or are they pretenders? Because you see that nail-biting win? It wasn't nearly enough to convince the inside crew. And that, right there, sparked the real debate of the night. What does a win like this actually mean for the Lakers' big picture? You know, their championship hopes. So Ernie Johnson, as he always does, just cuts right to the chase. He posed the million-dollar question to the guys, right? The same question every single Lakers fan is probably screaming at their TV. What is this team's actual ceiling? Like, how good can they really be if they can get and stay healthy? And the answers they gave, man, it could not have been more different. It just perfectly shows the divide. You've got Kenny the Jet Smith, who looks at them and sees, okay, a second-round team. A team with some real potential, a team that can win a playoff series. And then you've got Charles Barkley. His verdict? Mediocre. Just mediocre. No in between. So Kenny breaks it down pretty analytically, right? He's like, look, offensively, they've got the firepower. They can score with just about anybody. But, and this is the big but, he says defensively, they have some deficiencies. And for Kenny, that's the bottom line. That's the fundamental flaw that's going to stop them from making a really deep run in the playoffs. But Chuck, oh, he is having absolutely none of that. He's just not buying it at all. He basically says they're not going to beat those teams. Denver, Houston, or OKC. Simple as that. For him, this one regular season win means nothing. When the chips are down, come playoff time, against those top-tier teams, he's convinced the Lakers just don't have what it takes. Period. Okay, so let's switch gears for a second. We've heard what the panel thinks, but how about we get a reality check from someone who is actually on the court? Next up, Austin Reaves, in his own words. He joined the guys right after the game.
And it was really cool. He kind of walked everyone through his own evolution on this team. He said he started out just as a role player, right? His job is to support those two guys, LeBron and AD, as much as I can. But then, he says his coach, JJ, challenged him to be more aggressive, to kind of lead. And now, the mindset is totally different. He says, I've always had, high confidence in myself. I feel like you can score on anybody. I mean, what a great window into the mental shift of a player who is really coming into his own.
Now, speaking of the West, that brings us to the playoff picture, which is, well, a numbers game. Because while the Lakers were battling it out, another team was sending a massive shockwave through the entire league with a performance that was just totally dominant. 157. Seriously, just let that number sink in for a second. That is how many points the Denver Nuggets hung on the Portland Trailblazers. This wasn't just a win, this was an absolute statement game. And of course, leading the charge was their superstar, Nikola Jokic. The Joker put up 32 points, 9 boards, and 7 assists, and get this, he did it all in just 3 quarters. He didn't even have to play in the fourth. It was just complete top-to-bottom domination from the defending champions. So this is where it all gets really, really interesting.
Take a look at this snapshot of the Western Conference standings. It is just chaos. As the crew was saying, the race for seeding is unbelievably tight. I mean, you're talking about seeds 3 all the way down through 7, separated by just a handful of games. Think about that. One bad week, one little losing streak could completely flip the entire standings. Every single game from here on out is going to feel like a playoff game.
But listen, the biggest curveball of the entire night, I mean, without a doubt, came during the MVP discussion. This section is all about an unexpected MVP debate, a real wild card argument. Because this is where Charles Barkley basically took the script, ripped it up, and decided to create his own MVP race. Yeah, you heard that right. His top 2 MVP candidates, Cade Cunningham and Jaylen Brown. So just forget about the usual names, the Jokic, the Embiids. Chuck's argument is that the real MVP race, the most important one, is between these 2 guys who have lifted their teams to a place that absolutely nobody saw coming at the start of the year. And his whole argument just completely reframes what the award is even about. He's saying it's not about who has the best stats or who's on the best team necessarily. No, for him, the whole idea is which player did the most to elevate their squad beyond what anybody thought was possible. So it becomes this whole debate about what's more valuable, exceeding expectations or just being the best player on the best team.
And you know what? Based on that logic, the rest of the panel kind of had to agree. It's an incredibly close race. Chuck's point was that before the All-Star game, he would have said Jaylen Brown. But then after last night's game, he leaned towards Cade. I mean, he's saying it is that close. It makes picking a clear winner, at least right now, feel just about impossible.
So it really leaves us with this one big final thought to chew on, right? If we start looking at the MVP award through Barkley's lens, if it's all about exceeding expectations, then who else are we overlooking this season? Who else belongs in that conversation? It's a really fascinating way to look at the whole race and to think about what value truly means in this league. Thanks for joining us here on The Explainer.